The night was quiet and the stars were brighter than ever. On the edge of a small village, a boy named Ethan sat on a hill, staring up at the endless sky. He was only 10 years old, full of curiosity and strange dreams. His friends loved stories about dragons or superheroes, but Ethan only wanted to know one thing: who lived beyond the stars. He often told his mother, "One day I'll meet someone from another world." His mother just smiled. "Then promise me when you do, be kind to them." Ethan nodded. "I promise." That night the sky changed. A light, blue and white, cut across the darkness, moving fast and silent. It wasn't like a plane or a shooting star. It was slower, almost alive. Ethan gasped as it grew brighter, then crashed behind the forest that stood beyond the hill. He ran. The forest was dark, whispering with wind and shadows. The air smelled of metal and smoke. When he reached the crash site, his heart froze. A small silver craft, half buried in the ground, hissed softly. Sparks danced around it like fireflies, and then he heard it. A weak cry, soft and trembling. Ethan pushed through the smoke and saw her. She looked about his age, maybe younger. Her skin had a faint silver glow and her eyes were deep violet, shining even in the dark. She was hurt, her arm bleeding blue light. She looked scared and lost. Ethan didn't run. He didn't scream. He whispered, "Are you okay?" The girl tilted her head, confused by his words, but she understood the tone. She reached out a trembling hand, touching his face. A spark passed between them, warm and gentle, and for a second, Ethan felt her fear, her loneliness. She spoke one word: home. Ethan helped her up and led her to an old wooden shed behind his house. He wrapped her wound with cloth, gave her water, and watched as she slowly fell asleep. He didn't know why, but he felt she trusted him. The next morning, when he woke up, she was sitting near the window, staring at the sunlight. She smiled shyly. He smiled back. "I'm Ethan." She pointed at herself and said softly, "Lyra." They couldn't talk much, but somehow they understood each other. She drew strange symbols on the dusty floor, stars, planets, and something that looked like a portal. Ethan guessed she was trying to go home. For the next few days, he helped her fix small parts of her ship using tools from his father's garage. Lyra showed him how her craft worked, and Ethan was amazed by her glowing energy stone, a crystal that hummed softly when held near her heart. At night, they sat under the stars and talked with gestures and laughter. They were two children from different worlds, yet they felt the same, both lonely, both dreamers. One evening, while watching the stars, Ethan said, half joking, "When I grow up, I'll find you again, and I'll marry you." Lyra didn't understand the word marry, so he explained, "It means I'll always be with you forever." She smiled, touching his chest gently. "Promise?" she said in her soft alien voice. "Promise," Ethan replied. Just then the ground shook slightly. A beam of light shot down from the sky, a large ship hovering above the forest. Lyra stood up, eyes wide. It was her people come to take her home. She looked at Ethan one last time, tears like silver rain running down her cheeks. She placed the glowing crystal in his hands. Promise, she said, her voice trembling. Then the light took her away. Ethan stood there, clutching the crystal, watching the ship disappear among the stars. His heart ached, but he smiled through the tears. He whispered into the night, "I'll find you, Lyra, no matter how far." The crystal pulsed once in his hand, as if it hurt him, and far beyond the clouds, a girl with violet eyes looked back at the blue planet, whispering the same promise. 15 years had passed since that strange night in the forest. The small boy named Ethan had grown into a quiet young man, taller, older, but still with the same eyes that searched the stars every night. He never forgot her. Not the glowing girl, not the promise, and not the crystal that still pulsed softly in a box under his bed. Ethan now worked as a mechanic in a small city. Machines were his language, tools his friends. He loved fixing things no one else could fix. Maybe because part of him still wanted to fix something that had once fallen from the sky. Every night after work, he climbed to the rooftop of his apartment with a small telescope. He would look up and whisper, "Where are you, Lyra?" The crystal, no bigger than his thumb, sometimes flickered faintly, especially when he looked at the stars. Ethan always wondered if it was just his imagination. Until one night it wasn't. It began as a soft hum, a sound too low for the world but clear enough for his heart. The crystal sitting beside his telescope started to glow brighter than ever before. It vibrated, almost alive. Then came the signal. A faint voice. Not through speakers, not through air, but inside his mind. Then... He froze. The voice was soft, distant, but real. The same tone, the same rhythm. Lyra. He held the crystal tightly. Lyra, is that you? No reply. Only static, like wind across stars. Then a soft sound again, half-broken. Promise. Remember. The light faded. Ethan sat there trembling. He hadn't heard her voice in 15 years. But deep down he knew she was still out there. Alive. The next morning he didn't go to work. Instead, he searched everything he could find about deep space frequencies, radio transmissions, and unknown signals. His small apartment turned into a lab full of screens, cables, and maps of the night sky. Weeks passed. The signal came again, always at the same time, 2:47 a.m., always from the same direction. Sector 19, a dark patch of sky near the Andromeda cluster. Everyone thought he was crazy. His friends laughed when he told them, but Ethan didn't care. I made her a promise, he said quietly. One night, as he worked on decoding the signal, something strange happened again. The light from the crystal projected a small hologram, a pattern of stars moving slowly like a map. In the center of it, a glowing blue planet appeared. Not Earth, Ethan realized. It was a message. A map home. The hologram showed 2 moons and a ring of light around the planet. The pattern repeated 3 times before fading. It was Lyra's way of saying, come find me. Ethan's heart raced. She's calling me. But finding her wasn't easy. He had no spaceship, no government contact, no way to leave Earth. Yet something inside him wouldn't stop. He began studying old military drone parts, space tech forums, and underground engineer networks. Slowly, secretly, he started building something. He called it Project Promise, a small craft designed to reach orbit. Night after night, he worked under the stars, guided by that same pulsing crystal. Sometimes he talked to it like it could hear him. Don't worry, Lyra, I'm coming. Then, one night, while testing the craft's systems, a power surge caused the crystal to react violently. It exploded in light, filling the room with symbols, circles, lines, and numbers flashing across the walls. Ethan realized it wasn't just a map anymore. It was coordinates. But before he could record them all, his computer crashed. The lights flickered, and in the brief silence that followed, the voice returned again, clearer this time. They are coming, Ethan, you must hurry. He froze. Who's coming? No answer. Only the faint echo of her voice fading into static. Outside his window, far above Earth, a shadow moved across the stars. Something enormous, metallic, watching. Ethan stared up, feeling both awe and dread. He had waited 15 years for a sign of her, but now something else had found him. The crystal dimmed again, leaving him in darkness. His heart pounded. He whispered, Lyra, what have I just called to me? And in the silent night sky, a red light blinked once like an eye-opening. The night after the signal, Ethan couldn't sleep. The voice kept echoing inside his mind. They are coming, Ethan, you must hurry. But who were they? He sat near his half-built ship, the one he called Project Promise. The glowing crystal rested on the table beside him, dull and quiet now, like it had used all its strength. The memory of that red blinking light in the sky wouldn't leave his thoughts. It hadn't been a star. It had been watching him. Ethan's small workshop sat at the edge of the city, near the forest where he had first met Lyra years ago. Tonight, the air outside was colder than usual. Too still, no wind, no sound of crickets, only silence that felt heavy, unnatural. He stepped out, flashlight in hand, scanning the trees. Then he saw it, a shimmer in the darkness like heat waves in the air. Something was there, invisible but moving. He froze. A second later, 3 figures appeared out of the shimmer, tall, thin, wearing dark armor that bent the light around them. Their faces were covered by masks that glowed faint red. One of them spoke in a metallic voice that didn't belong to Earth. Human detected. Energy source nearby. Retrieve it. Ethan's heart slammed against his chest. They were after the crystal. He dashed back inside the workshop, slamming the door and grabbing the small stone from the table. It pulsed again as if it knew the danger. The floor shook with heavy steps. Metal scraped against the wall, then a whisper. Inside his head again. Ethan, run to the forest. I'll guide you. Lyra, he breathed. The voice was faint but real. He grabbed a small backpack, stuffed the crystal inside, and ran out the back door. The forest welcomed him like an old friend. The same trees, the same scent of rain and earth, only now the shadows hid danger. Red lights moved behind him, scanning, searching. He could hear their strange voices clicking like machines. Ethan ran until his lungs burned. The crystal in his pocket grew hot, leading him toward something. Then through the fog he saw it, an old broken metallic structure half buried in dirt. It was the remains of Lyra's ship, the one that had crashed when they first met. Ethan dropped to his knees, brushing away leaves and soil. The craft still hummed faintly, a heartbeat trapped in metal. He pressed the crystal against a slot near the door, and it fit perfectly. A flash of blue light opened the ship. He stepped inside. The interior was small and strange. Curved walls, floating symbols, and panels that glowed softly when touched. The ship felt alive. "Lyra," he whispered. "Are you here?" Her voice came again, clearer now, through the ship's system. "Ethan, you found it. Good. Listen to me carefully." He looked around, trembling. "Where are you? What's happening?" "They're called the Cryon Hunters. They want the crystal. It's a power core, a link between worlds. If they take it, they'll find my planet. They'll destroy it, and Earth too." Ethan swallowed hard. "Then I have to stop them." "You can't fight them yet," Lyra said. "But you can hide the core. The ship still works on a little. It can fly short range." He looked at the controls, glowing faintly. "You mean fly it?" "You promised you'd find me," she whispered. "Now prove it." Outside, a red beam cut through the forest, slicing trees like paper. The hunters had found him. Ethan sat in the pilot seat, gripping the controls. "All right, Lyra, let's do this." He pressed the start command. The ship roared to life, engines lighting up blue. Dust and leaves spiraled upward. The hunters turned toward the light, raising their weapons. The ship lifted off, shaky, unstable, but rising fast. A bolt of red energy hit the side, shaking everything. Ethan shouted, pulling the lever harder. The ship blasted upward, breaking through the treetops, leaving behind streaks of blue light. Inside, sparks flew. The controls flickered. Lyra's voice guided him. "Head north. There's a safe zone near the mountains. I'll send coordinates." Another explosion hit. The ship spun. Alarm screamed. Ethan held tight, teeth clenched. "I'm not giving up," he yelled. "Not after 15 years. The engine screamed, pushing through the clouds. But one last shot from the hunters struck the tail, sending the ship spinning downward. Fire. Smoke. Ethan saw the ground rushing toward him. "Lyra, trust me," her voice echoed softly. "You won't die tonight." The ship crashed into the side of a snowy mountain, sliding and tumbling before stopping near a frozen lake. Smoke rose and silence followed. Ethan opened his eyes, coughing, bruised but alive. The crystal glowed softly in his hand, warm and steady, like a heartbeat. He looked out the cracked window and saw something strange reflected on the ice. Not his face, but Lyra's. Smiling, he whispered, "I found you." The reflection faded, but her voice lingered. "The journey has only begun." Outside, above the clouds, red light spread across the sky. The hunters were still searching, and they had locked onto him again. Snow fell quietly over the mountains as dawn broke. Ethan sat inside the half-destroyed alien craft, his breath misting in the cold air. His head hurt, his hands were bleeding, but he was alive. Somehow the ship had protected him. The crystal still glowed faintly on the dashboard, its soft blue light the only warmth in the frozen world around him. Outside, the white landscape stretched forever, silent, untouched, and dangerous. He touched the cracked screen. "Lyra, can you hear me?" Static filled the cabin, then a weak reply came through. "Ethan, you survived. Good." He smiled faintly. "You didn't think I'd break my promise that easily, did you?" A small laugh echoed through the ship, tired but real. "You humans, always stubborn." Ethan leaned back. "Where am I?" "You crashed near the northern range. There's a structure buried under the ice and something ancient. It belongs to my people. You must find it," he frowned. "Why?" "It's a gate," she said. "A hidden portal between worlds. The crystal is its key. If you can activate it, you can reach me." He stared at the frozen land through the cracked window. Somewhere beneath that mountain lay a door to another world, and the only chance to see her again. But he wasn't alone. Far above the clouds, the Cryon Hunter's ship scanned the surface, tracking energy signals. They were closing in. Ethan packed what he could, a flashlight, a thermal blanket, and the crystal, then stepped out into the cold. The snow crunched under his boots. The mountain loomed ahead, dark and silent. Each step felt heavier, but the crystal pulsed faintly in his pocket, leading the way. Hours passed. The wind grew stronger. The cold bit through his jacket like knives. He stumbled, fell, and got up again. Then finally, he saw it, a faint blue glow beneath a sheet of ice, like veins running through the mountain itself. "This must be it," he whispered. He dug through the snow with his bare hands until his fingers went numb. The ice was thick, smooth like glass. Beneath it, symbols glowed, the same patterns he'd seen on Lyra's ship. He placed the crystal against the ice. The mountain trembled. Light spread across the surface like lightning, and suddenly the ice began to crack. A doorway opened, tall, bright, and silent. Warm air poured out, wrapping him in a strange calm. Ethan stepped inside. The tunnel glowed with soft blue light. Walls were covered in alien markings that seemed to move on their own. It was like walking inside a dream. At the end of the tunnel stood a large circular gate, carved from stone and metal, floating slightly above the ground. At its center was an empty slot shaped like the crystal. Ethan took a deep breath and placed it in. The gate came alive, spinning slowly, symbols lighting one after another. The air hummed with energy. He could hear Lyra's voice again, clearer than before. "You're close now, Ethan. The gate will open soon. But be careful. They will sense it." And she was right. Outside the mountain, the Cryon ships had found the crash site. Their sensors locked onto the growing energy surge. The leader, a tall hunter with glowing red armor, raised his weapon. "The human has activated the relic. Send the ground units." Ethan could feel the tremor of engines above. The gate was almost ready, but the energy was unstable. Sparks flew across the chamber. "Lyra, it's overloading," he shouted. "You must stabilize it," she said. "Touch the symbols, they will answer to your heart." He didn't understand how, but he trusted her. He placed his hand on the symbols. The surface felt warm, alive. Blue light climbed his arm, flowing through his veins. He gasped. Memories flooded his mind. Flashes of Lyra's world, silver cities, twin suns, and her smile. He saw her reaching out to him, whispering, "Come home." Then an explosion. The roof above shattered. The Cryon hunters broke through, weapons blazing red. Ethan ducked behind a pillar as energy bolts struck the walls. The gate flickered, unstable but still open. One of the hunters shouted, "The human carries the core. Capture him alive." Ethan looked at the glowing portal, then at the hunters. He had one choice. He grabbed the crystal from the gate. The energy around him flared violently. The hunters aimed again. Ethan ran, diving through the swirling light. A bright flash swallowed everything. For a few seconds there was nothing. No sound, no air, no weight. Only light. Then suddenly his feet hit the ground again. He opened his eyes. He wasn't in the mountain anymore. He was standing on soft blue grass under two suns. The air smelled sweet, the sky shimmered violet. Ethan whispered, "I made it." And far behind him the portal flickered, showing the shadow of one Cryon hunter stepping through before it closed. Warm light touched Ethan's face as he opened his eyes. Two suns hung in the violet sky, their rays painting gold lines across soft blue grass. Strange flowers floated like tiny lanterns above the field, glowing gently as if breathing. He stood slowly, still dizzy from the jump through the gate. His body felt light, but his heart pounded. He looked around. There were no buildings, no roads, just endless plains and crystal-shaped trees. In the far distance, tall silver towers shimmered like mirrors. He whispered, "Lyra, is this your world?" A gentle breeze answered, carrying a faint echo, her voice soft and close. "Yes, Ethan, welcome to Alindra." He turned around. For a moment, there was only silence. Then from behind a cluster of crystal trees she appeared. Lyra looked older now, not the frightened girl he once met, but graceful, radiant. Her silver skin glowed brighter in the sun's light, and her violet eyes shimmered with tears. For a second they simply stared at each other, two souls finally meeting after 15 long years. Ethan smiled, speechless. "You kept your promise," she whispered. "I told you I would," he said softly. She stepped closer, touched his face gently, and the warmth of her hand filled him with memories. The forest, the crash, the night under the stars. You came a long way for me, she said. He laughed a little. You called, I answered, but joy didn't last long. The sky trembled. In the distance, black shapes began to pierce the horizon. The Cryon hunters' ships. Their engines growled like thunder. The same red glow he had seen on Earth spread across the Elendran sky. Lyra's smile faded. They followed you. The gate stayed open too long. Ethan's chest tightened. Then we fight. Lyra shook her head. You don't understand, Ethan. The Cryons don't just kill, they consume worlds. They want the core you carry. She pointed at the crystal in his hand. It shone brighter than before, reacting to the energy of her planet. Here its power is 10 times stronger, she said. If they take it, Elendra will die. He looked at the glowing stone, then at her. Then we destroy it. No, she whispered. The core is alive. It connects our worlds. If it's destroyed, the link between Earth and Elendra will vanish, and forever. Ethan froze. So if I destroy it, I lose you? She nodded sadly. Yes, the wind grew louder. The first Cryon ship broke through the clouds, firing red beams at the silver towers in the distance. Explosions echoed across the plains. The ground shook beneath them. Lyra grabbed his hand. Come. There's a sanctuary nearby. My people will help. They ran through the glowing fields as the sky burned behind them. The ground pulsed with light, responding to Lyra's steps. She moved fast, like the land itself obeyed her. Ethan followed, clutching the core tight against his chest. Finally, they reached a cliff overlooking a deep valley. Hidden inside the rocks was a shining city. Floating platforms, silver domes, and towers that hummed with energy. Elendrans in glowing suits rushed to defend their home, aiming blue energy weapons at the dark sky. Lyra led Ethan into a large hall carved from crystal. In the center stood a tall figure, older with markings on his skin that glowed like fire. He looked at Ethan with curious eyes. So this is the human she spoke of, the elder said. The one who made the promise. Ethan bowed slightly, unsure what to say. I just want to help, the elder nodded. And protect the core. It answers to you now. Only your bond can control it, Ethan frowned. Bond? When she gave you that stone as a child, it linked your souls, the elder said. You carry a part of her, and then she carries a part of you. Lyra looked down shyly. It's true. That's why I could call to you even across galaxies. Ethan felt his heart twist. Everything made sense. The dreams, the signals, the voice in his mind. But before he could speak, an explosion shook the hall. The roof cracked open. A red beam cut through the walls, and a massive Cryon hunter stepped inside, the same one that had chased him through the mountain. Its armor gleamed black and red. Hand over the core, it demanded, voice cold and metallic. Lyra stepped in front of Ethan. You will not touch him. The hunter raised its weapon. Then you will both die. Ethan held up the crystal. It began to shine fiercely, flooding the hall with blue light. The hunter stumbled back. The energy in Ethan's hand grew hotter, wilder. He could feel it inside him, like fire and lightning mixed. Ethan, stop! Lyra cried. You can't control it yet? But it was too late. The energy burst out, knocking the hunter through the wall and sending shockwaves across the valley. Ethan fell to his knees, the crystal burning in his palm. Lyra rushed to him, holding his shoulders. You're not ready, she whispered. But you will be. Above them, the sky was now filled with red ships descending like a storm. The war had begun, and Ethan realized his promise had brought him to her. But now it might destroy everything. The twin suns were fading behind clouds of smoke. The peaceful skies of Elendra had turned red and black as fire rained from above. The Cryon fleet filled the horizon, dark ships like metal beasts roaring as they dropped soldiers from the sky. Ethan stood beside Lyra on the balcony of the crystal tower. Below them, the city burned. Blue and red lights flashed across the silver streets where Elendrans fought to protect their home. Ethan clenched the glowing core in his hand. It pulsed wildly, reacting to the chaos outside. He could feel it burning under his skin, like it was alive, angry, and waiting to be unleashed. Lyra looked at him, worry in her violet eyes. You must learn to control it, Ethan. If you let it take over, it will consume you. He took a deep breath. Then teach me fast. She guided him to a circular platform in the tower's center. Blue runes glowed beneath their feet. The elder from before stood nearby, holding a staff made of pure light. The core connects to your soul, the elder said. It feeds on purpose. If your heart is pure, it gives power. If it's filled with rage, it destroys. Ethan closed his eyes. The sounds of war echoed outside. Explosions, screams, the thunder of alien engines. He thought of Earth, of his mother, of the night he first met Lyra, scared and bleeding in the forest. He whispered, "I promise to protect her. That's my purpose." The core answered. A wave of blue energy spread from his chest, lifting him slightly off the ground. His eyes glowed white for a moment. The crystal floated from his palm, spinning slowly. Light strings connected it to his heart. Lyra stepped back, amazed. It's working. But before they could finish the ritual, the tower shook violently. A massive explosion shattered the upper levels. Through the smoke, the Cryon commander descended. The same one Ethan had fought in the mountains, now wearing a battlesuit pulsing with red light. So the human finally shows his power, the commander growled. Good, I'll take it for myself. He aimed his weapon, firing a beam of dark energy. Ethan raised his hand. The core reacted instantly, forming a shimmering shield. The beam hit and scattered like sparks. Lyra shouted, "Ethan, behind you!" Another soldier leapt forward, claws glowing red. Ethan turned, thrusting his hand out. Blue energy burst from his palm, blasting the creature backward through the wall. The elder raised his staff. "Go, Ethan. Protect the city. We'll hold them here." Ethan hesitated. "I can't leave you." "You must," Lyra said, grabbing his arm. "You're the only one who can stop them." Reluctantly, he nodded. Together, they ran down the collapsing tower as debris fell around them. Outside, Alindran soldiers in shining armor fought desperately, their weapons firing bright energy bolts at the invaders. The air smelled of ozone and ash. When Ethan stepped into the street, the ground itself seemed to recognize him. Blue lines of light spread from his feet like roots through the metal floor. The core's energy connected to the planet, amplifying his strength. Lyra stared in awe. "Ethan, the planet is responding to you. Alindra accepts you." He looked at her, half smiling. "Then let's give it something to fight for." He raised his hands. The air trembled. From the ground, pillars of light shot upward, forming barriers that shielded the civilians. Cryon ships tried to break through, but their weapons scattered against the blue walls. The Alindrans cheered. Hope returned to their eyes, but high above, the Cryon commander watched with fury. "Enough of this, human," he snarled. "Prepare the Omega cannon." A massive ship emerged from the clouds, and black, jagged, with a glowing red core the size of a mountain. Energy built up at its center. Lyra's face went pale. "That weapon, it can destroy the entire planet." Ethan's pulse quickened. "Then I have to stop it." He focused on the core again, drawing its energy into himself. His veins glowed bright blue, his body almost transparent with light. Lyra grabbed his arm. "If you push too far, it'll kill you." He smiled softly. "A promise is a promise." He leapt into the air, higher, faster than any human could. The blue energy carried him like wings. He soared toward the massive Cryon ship as the Omega cannon charged. Lightning-like energy surrounded him. He shouted, "Lyra, tell your people to run." She screamed his name, but he was already gone, a streak of light heading straight into the storm. The Cryon ship fired. A huge beam of red death tore across the sky. Ethan met it head-on. Blue met red. Light and darkness collided. The shockwave split the clouds apart, lighting the sky for miles. For a moment, the world went silent. Then, a flash. The red energy shattered, and the giant ship exploded in a burst of blue light. Down below, Lyra watched with tears streaming down her face. The people of Alindra cheered, thinking the battle was won. But when the light faded, Ethan was gone. Only the crystal remained, falling slowly through the air, glowing faintly, like a heartbeat fading away. Lyra caught it in her hands and whispered, "You kept your promise, Ethan, but I'm not letting it end here." She looked up at the sky. The war was not over. And somewhere in that blinding light she felt his presence, still alive, somewhere between worlds. The war-torn sky of Alindra glowed with fading fire. The Cryon fleet was broken, their ships drifting like shadows. Yet silence didn't bring peace, only grief. Lyra stood on the battlefield, holding the blue crystal close to her heart. It still pulsed faintly like a dying star. Every beat echoed Ethan's name. He was gone. The explosion that destroyed the Cryon mothership had wiped the skies clean. The Alindrans called it a victory, but Lyra didn't celebrate. Her promise wasn't complete, not without him. She walked to the edge of the valley where the ground was scorched black. The air still hummed with leftover energy from the blast. She knelt, tears falling silently into the ash. "You kept your word," she whispered. "Now it's my turn." The elder approached, leaning on his glowing staff. His eyes were heavy with both pride and sadness. "He saved our world, Lyra. His spirit is now part of Alindra." "Let him rest," but Lyra shook her head. "No, he didn't come here to die. He came because of a promise." She looked at the crystal. It flickered weakly, but deep inside it, a faint shape appeared for a heartbeat. Ethan's face. That was all she needed. The journey between worlds deep below the city. Hidden beneath layers of crystal and ancient stone, lay the heart chamber, the oldest structure on Alindra. It was said to be the birthplace of the first core, a gate between souls and stars. Lyra entered alone. The chamber glowed with calm blue light humming softly. In the center floated a massive sphere of energy, gentle but endless. She placed Ethan's crystal before it. "If the core connects worlds," she said softly, "then it can bring him back." The elder's voice echoed from behind her. "To bring back a human soul from the in-between is forbidden. The balance may break," she turned, her eyes glowing fiercely. "Then let it break. I will not live in a world where he is only a memory." She pressed her hand over the crystal. Her body lit up with silver veins of energy, and the chamber responded. Light spiraled around her, rising like a storm. Symbols danced in the air, the same ones Ethan once touched in the mountain gate. Her voice trembled. "Ethan, if you can hear me, follow my light." The return in the void between worlds, Ethan drifted. There was no air, no body, only thought. He remembered the explosion, the fire, the pain, and then nothing until he heard it. "Ethan, follow my light." He opened his eyes, if he even had eyes, and saw a glowing thread stretching through the darkness, silver and blue. It pulsed like a heartbeat. He reached for it. As soon as he touched it, warmth flooded through him. The darkness cracked open. Lyra screamed as the energy around her exploded outward. The chamber's walls shook, the elder shielded his eyes. The sphere brightened until the entire room was white. Then slowly the light dimmed, and there he was. Ethan stood at the center of the chamber, clothes torn, body weak, but alive. His eyes opened, glowing faintly blue before fading back to brown. He looked at her, confused but smiling. "You really didn't give up on me, did you?" She ran to him and threw her arms around him. For a moment, time stopped. Their heartbeats matched. The crystal floated above them, spinning slowly, alive again. The elder lowered his staff, smiling quietly. Two souls joined across stars. Perhaps this is what balance truly means. The new dawn days later, peace returned to Alindra. The skies cleared, the sun shone brighter. The remaining Cryon ships fled into the void, their empire broken. Ethan helped rebuild the city, working beside the Alindrans as one of their own. The people called him the Promised One, the human who kept his word. Lyra stayed by his side, teaching him the ways of her world. Together, they studied the cores, learning how to protect them from being misused again. One evening, as they stood on a balcony overlooking the glowing plains, Ethan took her hand. "Do you remember what I said the night we first met?" he asked. She smiled softly. "You said you'd marry me when you grew up." He laughed. "Well, I think I finally kept that promise too." She looked at him, eyes shining in the twin sunsets. "You already did, Ethan. Long ago under your sky." The crystal between them pulsed once, then released a beam of light into the heavens, a bridge of blue energy linking Alindra and Earth forever. The promise that began with two children beneath the stars had become something greater. A bond between worlds written in light, and as the sun set behind them, Ethan whispered, "For you, Lyra, I'd cross the universe again." She smiled, leaning close. "Then it's a good thing the universe is watching." Above them the stars shimmered, not as distant strangers but as witnesses to a promise finally fulfilled.